Hello friends and hello friends. All right, so today I wanted to do a demo called Fun with Florals. And so I got here this morning and Taylor was like, do you need some fresh flowers? And I said, yeah, I do. So he went home and gathered up a bunch of flowers, and then Taylor was like, maybe you should ask Jay to see if they'll bring some flowers too. And so I said, Jay, would you happen to have any flowers? And they were like, oh yeah, not a problem. So Jay picked me some really fun snapdragons and some roses. Or peonies, I'm not quite sure what these are. I think they might be peonies. Really beautiful. And then when Jay was just across the street a little bit ago, they found some other ones which are really stunning. And I was like, oh my gosh, these are going to be amazing to play with. So I have been wanting to do something with florals for a while now. And I have done a lot of things with leaf prints, and I've done a lot of that kind of stuff in the past, where I've done like things with like oxide inks. So today I am actually going to stamp onto acetate. So we are going to do flower impressions onto acetate, and so we are going to see how this goes. I'm sure that it will be a lot of fun, but it might be a little chaotic. I did do a dry run this morning just to make sure, but I'm using Pinata alcohol inks. So when you use alcohol inks evaporate at room temperature, so they dry even just sitting out in the room, and they are completely waterproof when dry, which is pretty fun. So what we're going to be creating today, I thought it would be kind of cool to make like little light catchers. So what I'm going to do first is I'm actually going to put on gloves, because alcohol inks will stain your hands pretty bad because they are alcohol, and they're not just going to come off with dish soap and water.
Yep, they have to wear off.
Yes, it will wear off, or gloves just makes a little bit more sense. So what I have here is I have two different shades of green. I have a lime green that we're going to be using here. And it doesn't look super limey at the moment, but we'll get there. And then I have, this is rainforest green, so this one's going to be a bit darker. I put some ink in here this morning, but you can see it's already evaporated at room temperature, which is amazing. And I could reactivate these with a little bit of 90% or higher rubbing alcohol, or I could use a little bit of blending solution to add in there to reactivate them. But I figured since I want my color to be nice and beautiful and concentrated, I'm just going to go ahead and apply a little bit more alcohol ink. But if you were to come back to this later and you're wanting to do something similar, you can add just a little bit of 90% or higher rubbing alcohol, and that looks great. This yellow I'm using is the Sunbright Yellow. I thought it was Sunshine Yellow. Sunbright Yellow. This is going to be Santa Fe Red is what they call that one, which is pretty fun. And then this guy is I have a number of purples I've opened up. Passion Purple. And they make a really beautiful blue purple too. It's kind of an indigo that's really stunning. I kind of wanted to work more in kind of these earth tone kind of colors today. I decided not to grab blue. I just wanted to mostly to work with the colors that I'm already kind of am working with as of right now. So I thought this would be kind of fun to play with. All right, so here we go. We're gonna just see what happens here. So when Taylor was picking flowers, he thought that these would be the coolest, and I love them. I love them. I just think that's amazing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm mostly going to focus on kind of creating in just kind of a smaller section. So I'm actually going to trim my piece of acetate down in size here. So I have just a little partial piece. Okay. And then I'm actually going to take, just going to pull this apart here. I'm going to take my floral, and I'm actually going to take it and I'm just going to press it into my alcohol ink like so here. And then there's a reason why I'm wearing gloves. I'm just going to set this down, and then I'm just going to very gently kind of press that down onto the acetate and lift up. Oh, and that didn't quite create as much of an impact as I was hoping, so I'm just going to kind of press it down a little bit more. And then we'll kind of do this again. I'm just going to kind of see what happens here. And the thing with fresh flowers when you do this is that you don't really know what you're going to get. So I figured I would make a few different ones just to kind of show you some ideas. And I think where might this acetate go here? I'm gonna do these in a couple different ways here. I think this one I'm gonna add just a bit of red to it. I know I'm mixing my colors a little bit, but I just kind of wanted to see what happens here. You just never know. And because it's the acetate, and if you were to like hang it up in a window, you can actually have that light that will pass through, which will be kind of fun as well. So I'm gonna lay that down. Well, my alcohol kind of moved a little bit, but that's all right. It's a little bit more organic looking, so that's okay. All right. Yep. And then let's grab out some of these flowers. I love these daisies. Oh my gosh. Again, I really do not know how this is going to go, but we're just going to kind of see what happens here. And I'm going to grab I'm going to add a little bit more yellow in here just because I want to make sure I get a nice amount of saturation on my daisy here. see. I'm gonna lay this guy down. So I'm just really saturating all of these little petals because I want my impression to look really good. When I was originally planning to do this demo, I had actually planned to sandwich some actual dried flowers in between pieces of acetate. And so I brought my dried flowers out from home. But the thing is that my dried flowers from home no longer look like flowers because all of the petals have been smashed. And so when you try to put that in a, oh hey, that's kind of interesting. When you try to put that in with your piece of, in between pieces of acetate, the effect just, it did not look very floral. And yep, they weren't really very vibrant. So, yep. All right, so we have kind of like those little ideas. And I think I'm just gonna play around just a little bit here since I have a little bit extra time. Grab some more here. I'm gonna add in some red and just kind of see what's gonna happen here. We will just see. That's the fun with playing, because you just never know what you're going to get. And also the other thing about this is I was like, I gotta have fresh flowers all week to accommodate for all of the people that might come in to do my $5 demo. So I gotta have fresh flowers. So I'm like, oh, after we're done today, I'll probably put those out on the counter so that people can enjoy those, and then they can pick their fresh flowers that they like. Okay, come on, little flower. Should we kind of impress this? So this ends up being a little bit more of a kind of abstract kind of a look. I do need a paper towel. I know I can tell that the alcohol ink is not going to come off of my hands, but at least the wet stuff, I can move that out of the way. All right, and then I'm actually going to take one of my little stems here. There we are. And I'm actually going to pick up some of the green here, and I'm actually going to add in some little stem-like things from my little flowers here. I'm going to do the same thing here. Put a flower petal on there. I know it's not perfect, but that's all right. I'm going to grab some of my little leaves. Just have some little leaves here. Pick those up. Whenever you're doing leaf prints and impressions like this, you want to actually use the veining side, because the veining side, if this works, it's not too wet, you can actually get some of the vein look in. It's actually really cool. We'll see if it's going to allow me to do this here, or it might not. Okay, there we go. Just have to make it not as saturated, and I think that will be just fine. Actually, I am really happy with that. Okay. That is really kind of cool looking, especially from a distance. It's quite fun. Yes, yeah, isn't that cool? It's an impression. Yes, yeah. So I'm just kind of doing little impressions here. I'm kind of dabbing out some of the more wet stuff so I can lay on my little leaves here, and just kind of pressing down. And I love that it kind of shows the little veining in that. Yes, I love that. All right, and let's see what else we have in here. You just kind of really never know what textures you're going to get. So we'll just kind of play and just kind of see. I'm going to add a bit more green in here. Actually, no, it isn't technically a floral, but just because I like adding that little extra texture in here. So the movement is really, really fun. I'm just going to dab that on. Excellent. Good about that. Kind of looks, almost has a feeling of like a flower kind of in the brush kind of a look. I'm dabbing some of my lighter green in here, see if I get a little bit more of a yellowy kind of look. Yeah, it is. It is kind of an interesting kind of a brush. Yes. And I might actually need to add a little bit more alcohol ink in here, but you can just kind of see. I love that the veining on this, especially with the pop of the red, is kind of fascinating. Oh, I'm gonna get. I might have to get on that. Okay. What I really want to play with are these. I love these little flowers. Huh? Yeah, they almost look like clover. Is that what you said?
Phlox.
Oh, phlox.
Phlox is a flower.
Oh, I'm not. F-L-O-X?
P-H-O.
Oh, okay.
Proceed.
Oh. Okay. Phlox. Yeah, that I'm not.
It starts with P-H.
It starts with a P-H. Okay. That's good to know.
I guess it's X.
Oh, P-H-L-O-X, phlox.
Yeah, phlox.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I have heard of that before.
Yeah, I think that's what that is.
Yeah. Oh, that actually is really beautiful. Let's see if I can get a nice impression from that. Just kind of see. Ooh, that's going to be interesting. Oh, that's kind of fun. I almost kind of wonder if I had done this in green, if it looked like little clovers throughout. Oh, that would have been really, really cool too. All right, let's see what we can do with this little guy. You just never know what you're gonna get. You just never know. Sometimes it's amazing, sometimes it's questionable. But that's just kind of who I am, so. Sometimes amazing, sometimes questionable. Actually, the center of that daisy is real, or
Yeah.
daffodil is actually really interesting.
Dandelion?
Dandelion, thank you, not a
Is it
daffodil.
dandelion? Okay.
Dandelions in there. Okay. All right. So now that I've laid down some interesting things here, let's see what we have here. I just wanted to kind of frame that out with at least something. So add a little bit more purple in here. I know it is kind of alcohol-y.
It's just me. It's
Okay.
just me.
Okay. I know the smell is not always our most
That's
favorite
not,
thing.
that's not even just,
Okay. All right, I'm going to move my little flowers to the side just to kind of see the different things. I actually kind of like how they've kind of colored. Look at that daisy. Isn't that kind of cool? Yeah, really
a red
interesting.
daisy.
All right. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here, just because I kind of wanted to kind of fill this up a little bit, I'm actually going to take, let me take my gloves off because I can feel my hands sweating. Oh my gosh. Wow, that's a bit. Okay, so this is a Stays On ink pad because I really wanted to actually add in a little sentiment because I'm going to create little light catchers today. So I wanted to have a little sentiment that paired with it. So I'm using Believe in the Magic because that's just the kind of person that I am. So I'm going to take this little guy here. I'm actually going to stamp it right in the middle of this, and let's see if I can. I don't want to ruin my piece of acetate here, so let's see. Yes. Okay. Nice. So it says Believe in the Magic. Oh, I'm so happy with that. I know it's really hard to see up there for you guys, but I'm really, really pleased with that. Okay, I'm just going to stamp these ones I'm going to leave blank. All right. Actually, I'm kind of happy with that. That's actually kind of cool. I really like this focal point here, and everything else kind of ties into that, so that's kind of fun. Okay, so now that I have all my little florals, I'm just gonna toss this over here because those are done for at the moment. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make something which we have here. I probably will clean that in just a little bit. We'll leave it there for the time being. I'll clean up everything at the end because that's the kind of human that I am. But we'll see if I can clean my little surface here. Clean off some of this alcohol ink. All right. The silicone craft mats are really great for this kind of a thing because this alcohol ink will just kind of wipe right off. Even though alcohol ink will bond to pretty much everything
That's what
with a
it's-
nice
it's made
cleaner.
for, yeah.
That's right, with a nice cleaner you can clean it off. I have, I think I have about 5 of these silicone mats in a variety of different colors. They cut really easily with a pair of scissors. I accidentally cut into that, no problem, by accident.
You can put tape on the back, I suppose.
I probably could, yeah. But actually, I did that with one of my craft mats, and I said, "Oh, I'll just cut this up into make small ones." So I have a bunch of little itty bitty little mini ones because let's say I'm painting and I just need a small little palette, or I'm working on something, or resin. Who knows?
A
So
little duct tape on the back. would hold it
oh,
together.
probably
Yeah.
would. It probably would.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, we're gonna see how this goes. Okay, this is a little bit of an experimentation, much like all the rest of my demos. It's a little bit of an experiment slash a wonderful and fun idea. But every so often
A little
things.
adventure.
Yes, it's a little bit of an adventure. That's right, Linda. That is right. An adventure in creating with Ellie. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to grab my Nesting Circles die cuts, and I'm going to find one that's going to match this really nicely. Oh, that one's just a touch too big there. So let's see. If I can't find a circle that'll work, then we'll go with a rounded rectangle. So let's see what I have here. Find a good one. Hey, that'll actually probably work great. Let's see if I can go just a touch larger. Yeah, I
There
can.
we go.
Yeah.
Use the leaves. as
Yes, exactly. So I'm just gonna take this. I'm gonna run it through my die cut machine. So I'm just gonna I'm just laying my die cut on there. I'm gonna cut out my little shape here, and I'm hoping it's not gonna damage or ruin my creation. No, it didn't ruin it. Oh gosh, I'm really happy with that actually. I'm actually quite pleased. Oh, my alcohol didn't quite dry all the way, so probably in the future we'll let that dry just a bit longer. You never want to use a heat gun for drying alcohol.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I know. It's something that you just don't want to do because when you aerosolize or evaporate alcohol ink, if you don't have a mask on or something and you inhale some of the gas that's coming off from the alcohol, you can actually damage your lungs. I had a nurse tell me that once, and I was like, oh my gosh. And she said that people notoriously, when they're working with alcohol inks, they'll put it into a spray bottle and with alcohol, and then they'll spritz it, and you're breathing that in. And so because of that warning, I always try to just not use, I personally just don't aerosolize alcohol, or use a heat gun. Or if I'm gonna do it, I do it outside or in a well-ventilated area, or I wear a mask because I just don't want to risk it. I'm like, I don't want to damage my health early on in my life, you know, you gotta be careful. Okay, all right, so you see I got a little bit of alcohol in my die cut, but that's okay. All right, so now I'm gonna take, so this is the exact size that I use. So I'm actually gonna go a tiny bit smaller, and then I'm also gonna go with the same size I've already chosen. And now I'm gonna use mirror card. So I'm gonna actually use my copper paper, and we're gonna lay this down here. And I'm gonna get, what I'm making here is a very, very small border. So I'm actually going, let's see if this border's gonna be too skinny, if this will work out perfect. I already need to find out. Tiny little border, just like that. Oh yes, and it'll frame that out beautifully.
So cute.
So I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. And what's cool about this craft is that I have it available silver, the mirror card available in silver, black, and gold. So if there's something that you were like, I really want to create that, but I really don't want the copper, just know that the silver and gold and the black are all options as well. And you want to make sure that when you're doing this, you can use a little piece of acetate. You want to make sure those are centered on themselves and nested correctly, because if you don't and they move on you, you're not going to get a nice, consistent, clean little ring like
I
that.
use washi tape.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. You definitely are a washi tape user. Yes, yes. You just never know. Just never know.
If there's a 99% chance.
Oh, yeah, something will move on you? Yep, absolutely. I understand that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, now that I have my little pieces here, I'm just going to grab my glue. And I think before I completely put this together, I am actually going to I'm going to go grab a little bit of twine, and I'm going to grab something that's kind of in the coppery tones. I don't have any copper. I thought that I did, but I think that will that ties in enough. It's close enough. I think it'll be okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put a line of glue all the way around my ring here. Okay. And then I'm going to set this on here because this is the exact same size as my circle. So that should fit perfectly. And then, yes, yeah, I'm going to encapsulate in there because I want to make it like a little light catcher. So I thought that would just be perfect. Now I want to make sure that my twine, I don't want it to come unraveled. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to tie a little knot. Just going to trim that down. Just basically have a knot at the bottom here only. Kind of a double knot, so it's extra thick. And I'm going to take a tiny little piece of double-sided tape, because double-sided tape is going to stick a little bit stronger than the glue there, and it will hold that in place a little bit better. So I'm going to stick it at the top there, peel that off. I'm going to take my little knot here. I'm just going to tuck that in. I'm going to just trim it so only the knot is exposed. I'm going to lay that down there, and then fold my double-sided tape over, so that's all in place. I'm going to put one more piece of double-sided tape on the top of that. Yep, it's just because I can make sure that's all kind of locked in place. There we are. And move that out of the way. All right, then I'm going to take my glue and once again go around my ring here. All right, and then I'm going to lay this on. And then it should be beautiful, though I guess we'll find out. We'll find out if my idea works. Sometimes I go to have my reveal and it's not the way I planned, but I think this will be exactly what I want today. Yeah, I love that the alcohol inks are slightly translucent, so it actually allows for you to be able, so that the light will pass through a little bit, so you actually can create this sun catcher idea, which I thought was just really, really fun to play with.
It'd be fun to do those.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, in a variety of different ways. Yes. Oh my gosh, I am so pleased with this. I'm so pleased. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased, but oh my gosh, how cool is that? And then it says believe in the magic. And you know what's really cool is that if your light catcher the light is shining this way, when the mirror image lands on the floor, you'll actually be able to read your word, believe in the magic. Isn't that cool? Yeah, because of the way that the light will hit, because it will be reversed, and then when it hits the floor, it'll be right reading. Yeah, so I thought that would be kind of fun. So probably what I'm gonna do is I just love it. Taylor was actually the one that mentioned, he was like, do you have a way you could frame it out some kind? And I was like, oh, yes I do. I love that Taylor, he's more involved in coming up with some of these ideas, but just makes me really happy. All right, friends, so you guys are now invited to come out and you can make your little $5 craft. This will be available for a week. And I think now, since I have a few other ideas, I think I'm going to take a moment and make little frames with these ones too, because they're just so much fun. Jay, would you like to make one?
I want to see more.
Okay, that's okay. I know, it is amazing. Yes. But you saw how it was done, so you would know for later. Yes, perfect. Wonderful. So I think I am going to take a moment and just frame out these other ones too, just a different style of frame, just because I really love that idea and that concept. So you guys get to just hang out with me while I just get to create some more. All right, so I think I do like this, but I think I'm actually, for this one, I'm going to do a slightly different shape, which I'm kind of excited about. We will see how this goes, because the die cut that I got for this other one that I want to do, the die cut set is not as easy to work with. It's a little different, so I'm going to see if it's going to work. I'm not sure. So it's a jar die cut.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little different. So we're gonna see how that turns out. And I think for this other one, I think I'm gonna do my rounded rectangle die cut, because I really think that's gonna look really nice with that. So we're just gonna lay that down. Yeah, beautiful. Okay. So for the jar die cut, even though it's going to be, so the thing about this die cut, and this is something that's a little irritating to me, is that you would think one of the die cuts would be really great to cut out, because then you could put the frame on top of it. But unfortunately, the inside jar here and this jar cut out the exact same size jar, which doesn't really make sense to me. So I'm going to do this just slightly differently. I'm not sure exactly how this is going to go, but we will see what happens. We will see what happens. So I'm going to cut this out of silver. I'll lay that on here. I'm going to cut this out twice. So this is interesting because you don't have to you don't have to line up two die cuts to cut out the frame. It's just going to cut it out.
Okay.
But see, then there's this jar that's left over, and that's the exact same size as this jar we cut out, which it's a little weird.
That's interesting.
I know.
It makes a double cut.
Yeah, you would think that it would make more sense for this one to be slightly
I
larger.
understand why they did it though, is so you can change the color, like
Oh, yes.
like you've got water or fluid or something.
Yes, that's a really great point. Yes.
And you, yeah.
Well, see, I was thinking they had originally cut out the die cut maybe for making a shaker card, because that would make sense for me.
Okay.
But yeah, I just thought I was a little bit confused. But this is what we ended up with, so it's fine. All right, so now that I have my two pieces cut out there, you'll see I did not cut the acetate out of that,
Yeah.
because I don't have a die cut that will cut that out, that will make it the right size. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to take this, and let's see if I can get this in a way where I can capture more of that. I'm not sure if I'm able to get my whole image here. I only have to do I'm able to only do a partial. Let's see, do I like this or do I like this? I think I like this. So what I'm going to do
You
here.
could even use a smaller.
Yeah, I think, although I really do love the jar here, maybe let's see what.
some of your wonderful art.
Yeah, let's see. I feel like my jar might lose some of that. It's okay. I don't mind. I wanted to use the jar today first and foremost. So let's just see what happens. Let's just see. It may or may not go well. That's the fun part of doing a little demo here. So I'm gonna just line this up on top here. Okay. So this is the part that's just a little finicky, just because they didn't do the die cut the way that I would. I'm actually gonna cut this out. I'm actually going to cut this just a tiny bit smaller than the frame itself. So then I did apply glue onto it so that way I will lay it out.
I had a wonderful dice. like it's square.
Uh-huh.
The colors are concave, the corners are concave.
Oh, yes.
Like you nipped out. the
Yes,
corners.
yes, I know exactly what you're
And I
talking
think
about.
it has
Yes.
stitching in it too.
Oh, so
And it's a
fun.
nested.
Yes.
Yeah, that would have been.
Oh, that would have been perfect for something like this. Yes, I
I'd brought it
love
if I
that.
knew you needed it.
I know. That's okay. All right, just like before, I'm gonna put double-sided tape just at the top there, and then I'm gonna go grab some twine, and I'm gonna prepare myself with some black twine too. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna have my little triptych that I'm gonna do here. Okay, so once again, I'm just gonna tie myself a little knot here. Oh, I know. Oh, the tiny little flowers. Oh, that's right. That's something else I was gonna do. I'm actually gonna. I think I might actually add those in just to kind of. I know. That was my plan earlier, but I forgot I was gonna do that. So we'll tie those
You
in.
can always go back.
I know. I could add more stuff. I really love how that turned out though, but I think I might add something. I'm gonna see how that's gonna look. I don't know if it'll look good, but we'll see what happens. I'm really glad the weight on that worked out because sometimes with acetate, it's a little flimsy, so I wasn't sure if if the weight was gonna make that work out. But I'm so pleased with that. It's kind of fun to make like little light catcher kinds of things, you know,
That was,
especially if I have sun coming in the afternoon. Isn't that cool?
was neat.
I enjoyed that quite a bit. Quite a bit. All right.
Well, that was fun. Even just a little air curl.
I know. Yeah. Yes. Just lightly moving it around. I know. I'm so pleased. I'm the kind of person, I love dangly things so
Oh,
much.
yes, like your earrings and
Yes,
stuff.
of course. Yes, it's just who I am. It's just who I am. But yeah, isn't that sweet? Again, with the different colors, and I like the jar because it makes it kind of think about like florals in a jar. Yeah, I thought that was kind of fun too.
That was neat.
Okay, all right, and then for my last one, so I'm just going to tie this off here so I can have a little thing to hang it from later. All right, there we are. Perfect. I decided not to stamp anything in that one, though you could certainly do like little die cuts and like put like little little mini fairy die cuts would be so cute.
Oh, the little
Oh.
bitty ones.
Yes, and I do have the tiny little ones. I personally own them. Oh, and that would be a lot of fun to add in there. Okay.
Okay. I have little stamps.
Oh, tiny little stamps. Yeah, and you can stamp with your the StazOn ink. Any image you stamp with the StazOn ink will bond to the acetate, no problem. Okay, so I'm gonna actually take a moment and I'm gonna stamp these out. I gotta go grab a clear block for myself. Hold on. It's exciting. I'm playing a little bit at this point.
Yes.
Because I can.
It's just a nice accompaniment to this one.
Yes, it is, isn't it? Yeah, that's why I thought I would do these ones out of the black mirror card last. So this was kind of my thought, is because the ink is translucent, what if we were to stamp these little mini flowers, and what if we were to stamp those with the alcohol, with the StazOn ink, the solvent base?
Just be sure you clean them off right away.
Yes, because of the
StazOn is
polymer.
hard on polymer.
Yes, it is, yes. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to go. Exactly. So I think I might maybe kind of hang some of those down. And I got to think about like my frame here. So I'm probably going to do something along those lines. So probably maybe we'll have it kind of maybe growing from the side or something like that. So we'll see what we can do here. All right. But yeah, that's a really great point, is that you're right. The StazOn ink can do damage to your polymer stamps. Yeah. Yes. So I'm just going to go ahead and stamp this guy down here at the bottom. That's kind of interesting. It just adds a little bit, just a little something extra. So we'll just kind of see. And then I'm going to do another little section. And I think I'm probably going to kind of do that maybe. I don't really want to mirror it too much. Make another one down there. Oh, that one got it was a little darker than I planned, but that's all right. I'm going to go ahead and clean this guy off, and then I'll move to my other one. And even the alcohol will probably bond to my. Yeah. Oh, actually, I cleaned that off right away, and most of that color came off. Well, that was a good tip, Linda. Yeah, thank you. That was helpful.
That's what I read. Wanting.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. It's just that how it's what happens with your solvent-based inks. Yeah. And I'm just going to bring this guy in from the side because I like that extra little sprig. Okay. All right. So, just a little darker. we'll just kind of see. We'll just kind of play around. Okay, let me go ahead and clean that off really fast, and then we'll do our final one here. Okay. Hey, that's not so bad. Not so bad at all. Normally, I just kind of give up once I have alcohol on some of the stamps. I'm like, well, it'll be that color forever, so that's just how it's going to go. But this cleaner I have found is actually really good.
Is it really
Oh,
brush?
hey. Yeah, it is the brush cleaner. I cannot believe
So
that.
it's got something
That- That will take off alcohol
Yeah,
ink.
go at it right away.
If you go at it right away. Wow, that's shocking. Okay, so now for our last and final one. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna bring that over here again. Once again, I'm gonna take the larger of my frames. I'm gonna lay that on here. And my alcohol ink should be dry at this point. Yes, it is. Do a bumpy side down
This is
here.
fun.
It is fun, isn't it? Yeah, I just love I love kind of diving deep down in different rabbit holes and just saying, let's just see what happens, you know. But yeah, it was really funny because I was talking to Taylor this morning and I was like, well, maybe I can sandwich some pressed flowers between two pieces of acetate, and I was like, that might work. And I'm thinking about it, and I was like, I don't know that will work because the flowers might rot,
Yeah.
you know, in between the pieces of acetate, and then it's not going to be beautiful anymore. So yeah, so I ended up going with this, which I really like because then you're using just one layer of acetate, which is nice. So that way you're not wasting anything. All right, so I'm just going to lay on my little frames just like before. I know I probably should be using washi tape, but I'm just going to eyeball it and hope it works out. Should be okay. Just roll that through.
I would wind up moving it so I just.
You're wind up what?
I would wind up moving it, not intentionally.
Oh, not intentionally, just because it would happen.
Yeah, just because it would happen.
Yep, yep. That's all right. Okay, so I'm going to cut out one more of those little guys. Get that lined up there. All right. There we are. And the last little frame. All right. And these inside pieces I'll probably use for future demo.
Oh, yes, that'd
You
be
just
good.
never know. You just never know. All right. Okay. So now we'll put our last little guy together, and we're gonna do just like we did before. We're just gonna put on our little glue here and glue that right on top. We have a gal, a local artist here, and she teaches watercolor classes every weekend, every Sunday. And so she's been teaching a series on watercolor florals. And so every weekend that she teaches that class, she goes and picks up flowers. So then that way all her students have fresh flowers to paint. Yes, exactly. And so that's been really fun because sometimes they'll come into the shop and, oh, there's fresh flowers readily available. That's quite nice. All right.
Inspiration.
Yes, exactly. Some inspiration, yes. So I'm going to stick on my double-sided tape at the top here, just like before. Pull that down. And then I'm going to grab my black twine, because that's what I have left here. Once again, I'm going to tie a knot at the bottom. Trim that off so I have just the knot showing. Near the base there. I'll just tuck that right in. And, oh, if it will stick. And then another piece of double-sided tape just to hold that down, because this notoriously wants to come up, and that's why I know for sure that glue alone is not going to hold that down. So I have learned. All right, and then I'm just going to take my glue and once again go around this little frame guy. And then we're going to lay that down. And I can tell that my frame shifted just ever so slightly on this one, but that's okay. That is not a problem. The effect is still there. All right. Just let that dry for just a second and wipe that off. All right. And there we have our third one. Isn't that cool? Oh,